Hi everyone, it's Alexa. Welcome back to Digital ELA Lot. Hope you guys are still staying safe and watching our videos. This is the second video to our third lesson on inferences. If you haven't already, please watch Aisha's video first. She goes over the passage and she goes over inferences and inference questions. So you need that background today. And also, in her video, there's a link in the description to a worksheet, which is what we're going to be going over today. It's on Champion of the Channel. So once you finish that worksheet, you can come back and we can go over the questions together, kind of like we've been doing the past couple of weeks. So first, we're going to do a quick review on inference questions and some tips for them. The first one, which is the most important, is that it has to be based on text evidence. So even though I already told you that inferring is making an assumption, you really need to make sure that it is well supported. So we already said this, but for inference questions, you're reading between the lines, you're making an assumption based on the text. So we need to go a step further than just summarizing what we're reading. Also, inference questions are typically hard to spot. Some of the question types we went over in the past, like detailed questions, there's a quote right there or a place you have to look for. Main idea questions, it's asking right away what the main idea is. The inference questions, they don't really say what can you infer from this. So we just have to carry the skills we used from Aisha's videos to every single question, which will help us with all of them, especially these questions. Okay, the last tip is to avoid extremes. So this again has to do with going back to the text, making sure every single claim you do is well supported. For example, an extreme would be like, let's say I'm wearing a maroon. You can't infer that the only color I like is maroon because that's too extreme. You can't just jump all the way there from getting this little piece of evidence. So we're also going to carry that tip for every question we use. We always want to avoid the extreme ones with extreme wording. So question 1, read the sentence from paragraph 1. In 1926, an editor at the London Daily News predicted that Gertrude Ederle, an American swimmer with 18 world records and 3 Olympic medals, would fail in her attempt to swim across the English Channel. The question is, what does the editor's comment reveal about the challenges Ederle faced in attempting her feat? Okay, so first, when we read the sentence, we can immediately see she was an American swimmer with 18 world records and 3 Olympic medals. So clearly from that, she's extremely talented. She's one of the best probably in the world if she has Olympic medals. And still, this editor said that she would fail in her attempt to swim across the English Channel. Choice A, regardless of her ability, being an American put Ederle at a serious disadvantage over a Londoner who would be more familiar with the English Channel. And this makes logical sense, but we're looking at this sentence specifically from paragraph 1, and nowhere in here does it really say compare her as an American to a Londoner, so we can say no. B, at the time, Ederle still needed more training in order to succeed in the daunting task of swimming the English Channel. Here it says that she's super accomplished, so what more training could she really need? So choice C, while Ederle could participate in athletic competitions, some people were not comfortable with her attempt to swim the channel because no woman had ever attempted it before. So here, he doesn't really say he's not comfortable with it ever. He just says that he doesn't have faith in her. So we can't confidently say C. Let's see D. In spite of her previous achievements, Ederle still experienced social as well as physical obstacles in attempting to swim the channel. So this one makes sense because it says, in spite of her previous achievements, those 18 world records, those 3 Olympic medals, someone is still saying she can't do it. So that's a social challenge, right? This editor doesn't have faith in her. And it says that the English Channel later on in that paragraph, it was so difficult, it was such a challenge that even this extremely experienced swimmer could still have difficulty with it. So D is the right answer, and it's pretty clear after we understand the context. Question 2, which sentence is the best summary of the steps that Ederle took to prepare for her second attempt to swim across the English Channel? And you see in paragraph 4, it says directly, to prepare for the marathon swim. And it's after she already failed at the first one, so we know we're talking about the second one. And then that whole paragraph goes on to tell us what she did to prepare. But now we can look at the answer choices. Right away, choice A, working with her sister, Ederle waterproofed her goggles using melted candle wax to seal the edges and designed a 2-piece silk bathing suit that was lightweight and would not stretch out during the long swim. So we know that's the answer already from going back to the text. but we still have to check all of them, always. Let's see B. Ederle covered her body in numerous layers of grease for insulation and focused on finding her sphere during her swim. So the key to this is, even though she did do this, it says during her swim. And the question is asking, what did she do to prepare? So that would be before she went on her swimming trip. So that's the key to answering this question as well. Choice C, Ederle began training with her coach, who played music while she swam to help her time her strokes to the music. Nowhere in the passage does this say this, so we can get rid of this immediately. Choice D, Ederle focused on developing better equipment than the standard swimsuit that proved cumbersome during her first attempt to cross the channel. Although this is true, the question is asking us for the best summary of the steps she took. So this isn't really the steps she took, it's more her general effort and what she was trying to do. But choice A lays out the steps that she took. So choice A is the correct answer. Okay, so question 3. Here we're going to use a little bit of inference. So read the sentence. Ederle knew that if she did not complete the challenge this time, she might never get the opportunity to set this record, because a rival female swimmer was preparing to make her second attempt at crossing as well. So the main important part of this is that she needs to do this right now. She needs to set this record, because if not, then another female swimmer is going to come and do it before her, and then she wouldn't be that woman who set the first record. So the question is, how does the sentence fit into the overall structure of the passage? You can look at the choices. Choice A, it emphasizes that Ederle's attempt to swim across the channel led other female swimmers to attempt the challenge. That's not what she's talking about right now. Right now we're just talking about her and how she wants to win, so we can cross that one out. Choice B, it presents the reason why Ederle prepared to cross the channel again immediately after her initial failure. So this answer choice makes sense for us, because it's saying that Ederle was really aware that she had to do it right now, because there was this other swimmer that if she didn't do it right now would get to her and beat her. So, and we mentioned the sentence right after they told us that she initially failed. So we can definitely keep this as an option. Choice C, it shows Ederle's realization that she had to rethink her methods if she wanted to be the first woman to cross the channel. In this sentence, we're just talking about the urgency and how important it is that she crosses the river. It's not really talking about how she has to really change her methods, or like how is a realization. She knew this, she knew as a fact that she needed to do this right away, or someone else would beat her to it. So we can get rid of C. D, it indicates that Ederle had learned from her mistakes and was working to fix them before her next attempt. So here she doesn't really talk about her mistakes. We knew the reason she failed was because she got ill, and that's not really something that was a mistake of hers. That's just something that happened. And also in the sentence, it doesn't really say anything about how she wants to fix what she did. It just says she needs to get back to it right away. So that is why the answer is B. So question 4, this is a bit of an inference question. So it says, who of the following was Ederle's main reason for swimming the English Channel a second time and succeed when she did? So that's a huge part of it too. So as we look through these answer choices, I'll tell you that a lot of these are the reasons why. We have choice A, the newspaper editor from the London Daily. Choice B, Ederle's parents and coach. So choice C, a rival female swimmer. And choice D, Ederle's sister. But the main part of the question that we're looking at is, why did she swim it a second time when she did? So even though that newspaper that hated on her and said that she couldn't do it was a motivation, and even though her parents and coach supported her and her sister supported her, they weren't the reason why she did it right when she did. As we talked about in the last question, there was this rival female swimmer that would have beaten her to make the record if she hadn't done it immediately, right after she failed the first time. So this is where reading the question really carefully is really important, because all of these answers were reasons for swimming the channel, but it wasn't the reason why she did it in that specific time. So that's why the answer is C. So we have to use those skills that Aisha taught us. We have to be really careful. We have to have evidence, and we have to be really aware of timing here too. So it's C. So question 5, in paragraph 4, the word insurmountable is used to highlight. So this is a function question, sort of. It also includes inference. It's asking us, why was this word used? What was the function? What did it do for the sentence? So we're going to go back to paragraph 4. And in paragraph 4, the sentence that uses insurmountable talks about the swimsuit that she wore the first time around when she failed. So it said that the swimsuit had stretched out, filling with water and creating drag, making an already challenging task almost insurmountable. So this swimsuit was really bad quality for the challenge, and it made it really hard for her to complete this challenge and for her to successfully swim across, which maybe that's the reason why she failed. So even though we don't know the word insurmountable, we can use context clues and read around the word to have a better understanding of what it means. And we can also infer what the meaning is. So choice A, how the bathing suit made it impossible for Ederly to make it across the channel. So even though this makes sense, we remember the beginning when I said you have to avoid extremes. So this says that it's impossible. And I know we use that a lot in day to day. We're like, oh, doing my homework is impossible. But in this, if we use it in this test, it means that it's actually not possible to swim across the channel with this bathing suit. But we know that's not the case. We know that the swimsuit just made the challenge really hard. So if we can, we're going to avoid this answer because impossible is a very extreme word that we have to keep our eyes out for. We have choice B, how Ederly and her sister decided to improve Ederly's swimming equipment in a creative way. In the sentence that insurmountable is using, they don't really talk about creating a new swimsuit. They're just talking about the challenges she faced last time, so we can get rid of this one. Choice C, that the flaws in Ederly's bathing suit made a difficult task even more complicated. So with this choice, we see that it's telling us exactly what happened, that the bathing suit made it much harder for her to cross the channel, but it's not too extreme like choice A. So that's another reason we have to read every single answer choice, because maybe if you read it really quickly, you would just circle A, but as we go along, C is a much better choice, and we always look for the best answer, not something that just works. And then we have choice D, that the swimming equipment Ederly used needed to be custom made for her attempt. So again, this is a stretch. We can't really infer that it needed to be custom for her attempt. So we can also get rid of that one. Choice is C. All right, question 6. So this is also an inference question. Why did Ederly swim with an amused smile? Paragraph 7 on her face. So we have to go back to paragraph 7 and to understand what's going on. Pretty much, we had just talked about some of the challenges that she was facing throughout her journey across the channel. And at paragraph 7, the first sentence is, for hours, Ederly swam, dodging debris with an amused smile. So amused generally has a positive meaning. So if you're amused by something, you're happy about it, you're positive about it. So you might be confused. She's going through these challenges, but she's still happy. So what is that going to tell us? It tells us that maybe she sees the light at the end of the tunnel and that she's just excited to get to the end. And by the 7th paragraph, she is getting to the end. You have choice A, Ederly was pleased that her family was following her along her route. That's not really what was going on in the sentence that it was used. Choice B, Ederly felt that she was swimming well and was going to succeed in breaking the record. So she was nearing the end, and she was maybe feeling, because she was smiling, she was like, maybe I can do it. Maybe I'm beating this challenge. Maybe I'll break the record. So this choice would really make sense. We can infer, if you're doing something really challenging, but you still have a smile on your face, you must be proud of yourself, or at least you must feel some sort of accomplishment from doing that. So choice C, Ederly enjoyed the music that her coach was playing for her as she swam. They mentioned the coach playing some music in the paragraph before it, but that was kind of a detail. It wasn't really important to the storyline, so it's not really the strongest answer. We have choice D, Ederly thought that she was not going to succeed in her attempt to break the record and was amused that she had wasted so much time. So even if you don't know what the word amused means, it still says amused smile. So when you're smiling, usually it means that something good is happening. So this is a really negative answer choice, which doesn't really make sense. So you can already get rid of it. So that means the answer is B. Okay, question 7. Ederly's victorious swim across the English Channel influenced American attitudes mainly by So we can already know by going back to the text in the last paragraph, it says over the next few years after she completed the challenge and after she swam across the channel, more than 60,000 people credited her with motivating them to earn their American Red Cross swimming certificate. It also said before that it inspired Americans to be more active. So we already kind of know the answer from this. So choice A, sparking interest in physical activity and in seeking swimming certification. So this is pretty clear. It's already in the text. We already went over it, but just make sure we have to read all the answer choices. So B, encouraging other swimmers to seek out and achieve challenging feats. It doesn't say this in the text, even though it would make sense. That is inferring too much. C, demonstrating that women could achieve and even surpass feats accomplished by men. So this one could trick us because we do talk about how she was the first woman to do it, and that was really important for women. In the paragraph where we're talking about the influence on American attitudes, it really only talks about how it encouraged people to be more active and to receive swimming certifications. Choice D, showing that determination and perseverance are necessary to overcome previous failures. Again, this is kind of an assumption of something versus having it straight in the text. Sometimes with questions like this, they're going to have answer choices where some of them are directly in the text and some of them are inferences. We want to make sure that any answer choice is really supported in the text because they're asking if you had a good understanding, and that way we're really sure that we got the answer right versus an idea where we could have been incorrect about our inference. So in this case, it's directly in the text, and the answer is A. Okay, question 8. What is the purpose of including the chart solo swims across the English Channel? So this is kind of like when it says what is the purpose, it's a function question, but we also have to infer and kind of guess why they included this. If we look at the chart, some of the main parts of it is that there's the years that the swimmers swam, there's the swimmers, and there's their times, their records. And it gives the earliest speed records, so back in the 1900s, 1800s, and then it gives the current speed records from the years 2012 and 2006 and their times. So that's all the information the chart gives us. So now we are asking like why that information is relevant. So let's look at the answer choices. Choice A, to show the reader that men swim faster than women. If we look at the chart, that's actually not the case. Choice B, to provide an account of other record-breaking swims across English Channel and how the event changed over time. So that would make sense because this is all speed records for the English Channel, and it gives us two different time periods, the 1900s and the 2000s. So that kind of covers all the information that the chart gives us, so we can keep that as an answer choice. Choice C, to encourage the reader to also try to swim across the English Channel because it is not difficult anymore. So no one said that it wasn't difficult anymore. We've heard about how difficult it was. So this is incorrect. Choice D, to show that both genders have been able to complete a swim across the English Channel. So even though it does have both genders in the chart, we already know that both genders can complete it because the whole passage was talking about the first female to complete it. So the answer is B. Question 9. Why did the author include the statement from the London Daily editor that, quote, even the most, ... the weaker sex in paragraph 1? So we have to go back to paragraph 1, and it tells us that this editor is saying that she really can't, he doesn't believe that she can do it because she's a woman. So choice A, to show that women were weaker in the 20th century than in the 21st century. So it doesn't really tell us anything about 20th century versus 21st century. Choice B, to directly explain why a woman had not been able to swim across the English Channel before Ederle. So this is not explaining why a woman wasn't at all. This is just an opinion that an editor had. So choice C, to explain that Ederle only wanted to swim across the English Channel to impress the editor. Ederle never addressed the editor. The quote was just kind of used as background of people's attitudes at the time. So choice D, to emphasize the backlash and pressure that Ederle faced as she prepared to break the world record. So as I said, this is kind of the background information, what people were saying at the time. People didn't believe she could do it. So it kind of shows that she had a lot of pressure behind her to kind of represent all women in succeeding to break the world record. So this choice is why the statement was included. Question 10, why did Ederly struggle so much to swim across the English Channel on her first attempt? So here we can go directly back into the text. It says that just 6 miles short of finishing, she became ill and her coach had to haul her out of the water. And that was right during her first attempt. So it says right there she was ill, she was sick, and so she couldn't keep going. So let's look at the answer choices. Choice A, there was a giant storm that pushed Ederly from reaching England's shores. It does talk about a storm, but that's in different paragraphs. So it's important to know exactly where we're looking. So choice B, Ederly was not as motivated the first time because she didn't have any competition. So it never talks about how she wasn't motivated. We always knew that she wanted to break this record. Choice C, Ederly became sick and had poor swim gear on her first try. Here is a direct answer from the text, so we know C is the answer. We'll keep going. Choice D, Ederly had not practiced enough before her first swim and was overconfident about her success. So it didn't really tell us much about how confident she was or how much she trained beforehand. So we can't really assume that. So again, the choice here is C. Okay, so I hope you guys have a better understanding on inference questions now. Thank you for watching. Please continue watching. If you have any questions, please email us. There's the email in the description below. We miss you and we hope everyone's staying safe, and we'll see you next week. Bye.